Hello. So this is my summary of week 1 about the developmental systems approach. So the developmental systems approach can be summarized as this perspective that nature or genes and nurture or environment are inextricably linked, and that nature is acting in the context of internal and external circumstances, and that those two realms are inextricably fused. So you couldn't look to just one or the other without understanding how it's in relationship with the other. So this perspective also argues that development can be influenced, and thus that there's not one course of development. So there's not one way that we can track a human's development over time. We actually really can only understand development and its many potential directions by looking to the context and looking to these varying levels of micro or macro assessment. And the utility of this approach, or sort of the usefulness, has a lot to do with having an informed and intentional promotion of positive development. So by understanding more thoroughly how these things interrelate and interact, we can change conditions or understand individuals based on their identities and experiences in ways that are truer to their experience and their development, and also in shifting environmental factors that's coming from a place of informed and intentional decision making, and knowing that by playing with different pieces of this larger system, we can promote positive development in young folks. And there are two dominant theories or sort of models of this developmental systems approach, and one is the bioecological model, which presents that biologically influenced dispositions and environmental influences is what equals development. So the environment is nested in these layers, these 5 systems: individual, microsystems, mesosystems, exosystems, macrosystems, and chronosystems. And those go from sort of the most micro to the most macro. And it's within those systems that these sort of biologically influenced dispositions are interacting with the environment and being interacted on by the environment. And the second dominant model is the probabilistic epigenesis model, and that proposes that the change in genetic expression is a result of environmental influences, and that the developmental outcome of certain influences is not certain because it depends on so many external influences. So this model sort of brings it to a genetic level of expression rather than just looking to those biologically influenced dispositions, and proposes that the actual genetic expression can be changed and is affected by the environment. And the last thing that I'll say is that one of the big takeaways for me from this chapter was sort of what can be done with this. And I think that the questions that this sort of makes space to ask, it feels more oriented toward curiosity than it does toward figuring out exactly how every human develops. So it's less prescriptive and more about continuing to grow and situate understanding in particular communities, in particular situations, in particular environments, and really make space for the complexity of being human. And I think that can have a huge impact on what education looks like, on how we disrupt systems of oppression based on actually understanding what might be happening at different levels for people with different identities, for people with different ancestry, for people with different types of trauma, whether it's daily microaggressive trauma or larger scale trauma. So what educational norms, or what sort of norms of developmental spaces for youth can look like, and how informed those spaces can be, seems really like this model really supports growth in those areas and supports creating environments that really take into account the needs of all sorts of individuals. Thank you.